Welcome as everyone is coming in.
The glasses are a symbol for clarity.
Ooh, I like that. A symbol for clarity.
If you have
Tell me more about that clarity, Joe.
I don't know. I'm making it up as I go.
That is not what you're supposed to say.
Oh, life is dynamic like that. Okay, think of this idea. All start off with a plan and then things happen in the middle. And so much of what we coach around is helping people navigate that space between the beginning and the end. And so our glasses could be a little metaphor for helping us see as we work our way between the two gaps. How about that? As we're onboarding, we know the subject today is stepping up in responsibility, accountability, and love. And a little introduction. I'm Joe Peoples. I'm master coach. I've been with Workman for some time. I've had too many years or a lot of years in the business of real estate. I always tell the story. I've had the great fortune of starting and being awful, learning to do it right, working in a husband and wife team, working as a sales manager, working as a business coach. And all these iterations have just given so much insight to being a part of a group like this, where everyone has this idea they want to move their life forward and have a different experience for their business. And we all bring something, I think, to this conversation today regarding responsibility and accountability. So this is going to be a fun discussion that's going to include, Christi and I leading the dialogue and a few more things. So Christi, do a quick, brief introduction of yourself, and we'll move a little further into the agenda.
Whew. So glad you finally got through that, because I thought you were going to go on for a little bit longer, Joe.
Could happen.
So I'm Christi Greene. I have been a Workman client for almost 6 years, and I am a senior coach and have been a coach for about 4 years. And I have been, he didn't really divulge how long he's been in the business. I've been in the business almost 18 years. I started when I was 5. So, it's a lot of things that you learn as you get in the business at 5 and kind of grow through the years of all of the dynamics of this market and those kinds of things. And as Joe said, accountability is love. And it's one of those things that he and I are actually pretty good with each other on, in terms of going, wait a minute, you said you were going to. And so we are going to walk through some of those pieces today of personal responsibility with accountability and love for yourself. And so that's how we're really going to get started today with this particular webinar.
Awesome. I love it. And agenda wise, if you go to the next slide, we want to begin with the end in mind. And so on that screen, you have some of the takeaways that this conversation is built around. One of them is a daily success log. We do have our daily success habits tracker. That's also a download. What we're going to be covering today is how to use this daily success log. This is going to be a big part of it. And I want to share a story, Christi. This morning, it's about being in CrossFit this morning, and it relates, what I believe, directly to what we're doing today. At a CrossFit workout, you have a number of people participate in an exercise routine. In the routine we had, I can't remember exactly what it was, because I'm too tired to remember.
Because he doesn't pay attention all the time, but we're going to get there.
But what I observed was we all shared, it was like 20 people there. We all shared in the same workout, but we all had a different experience. I was challenged with the workout with the strict pull-ups. And Cody, I listened to him tell how he was challenged with the row or some other thing. And why I bring this story together is that accountability is a thing that we're all familiar with, but we all experience it differently. And part of this success log is to be able to tap into your way of experiencing things so that you can move your life and your business forward, similar to a workout. So that's the story I wanted to bring to the table on that.
So we're going to start with some stinking thinking, because each day we get out of bed, and like today here, it's raining and cold and gross, and I don't really want to do much of anything. And yet I knew I had to show up for me, my clients. Our phones start buzzing and doing all of the things. And yet all I do is look outside And my dogs look at me like this and go, seriously, you think I'm going to go out and do something? You got to be kidding me. I'm not going out in the yard. And so we're going to just start with some of the topics and things about stinking thinking that we all can wake up with on any given day. And we know we have to push through. Here's another version of what that might look like. Sometimes I don't really want to bang my head on it. I want to throw it out in the yard and have the dogs bury it because I'm tired of it and I really don't want to see them. And really, I could probably suffice with keeping the computer and just burying the phone in the yard because we all just need to get away from time to time. And in this business, our clients think we need to be accessible 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, which I tell people you never should say because then they literally think that that's what you are supposed to do. So as we kind of talked about this, Joe, we kind of got into some different topics of low energy, loss of momentum. And this is a participation thing today. So we would love to hear your comments and thoughts as we go through some of this stinking thinking. Like, how do you feel about that? Do you ever feel like this? What does your day really look like when we're talking about these days? And truly, like, this was one of those mornings when I woke up with the rain and cold and gross that I was like, oh, this is perfect.
Christi, one of the reasons we brought in stinking thinking is because your mindset is impacted by the conversation you're having in your head. And when that conversation is not moving you toward your goals, the experience you're looking for, there's the possibility that you might experience a loss of momentum or low energy. So it's, as we're putting this together, just reflect internally, like, have you had an experience where your own stinking thinking or your perspective on what you're going to experience has stolen your energy or loss of momentum? Go ahead and build some more of those items out.
Do you ever feel unappreciated? I mean, we are the professionals that people hire, but sometimes they tell us all the things that we don't know. Who gets stuck? Anybody ever get stuck in a day, in a week, in a transaction, okay? Anybody feel debilitated in this business ever? Do you have those moments where things just completely stop? Or you feel like you're just done and everything is really, really bad today and every single transaction is like on the brink of, I don't even want to talk about it. You got to be kidding me.
I'm laughing as we go through these things because I know the feelings I have as a leader, that the feeling stuck when there's a person or an agent that you would like to help them move forward, but you recognize that they have to make the decision, and you're trying to explore like the resources that you have available, hoping to unlock that situation.
The other thing I would love for the participants to do, there's a lot of you that don't have your video on. And if you're in your car or on the golf course, okay, don't make us jealous. Don't turn your video on. But if you happen to be available, we would love to see your face because as we participate, it makes it much easier to do that when we can all see each other. So if you can turn your video on, please do that. Sorry, Joe, you can keep talking about getting distracted if you want.
Oh, no, I mean, part of us looking at these different items around stinking thinking is because those are distractions from moving you toward what you want to do. And when you're having that conversation in your head, you're going to lose momentum. You're going to have less energy. And if you have less energy, this last one that came forward, income. When you consider the work we do, we're in both a sales and service business. We have to sell ourselves and deliver service for people. And to be able to deliver that, we have to have what we call the right mindset. Our theme for this today is built around the month of February. This is the month of love. And, Jamil, you're going to probably get 20 dozen red roses with no thorns. Right. It's that time. And so what we want you to do is kind of be mindful of how your thinking will make you a victim of yourself. but this is February, the month of love. And so we'd like to give you a tool that will allow you to sidestep all of this stinking thinking. Who would like to have a tool that would only take 5 minutes that will allow you to sidestep your stinking thinking?
Oh, thank goodness it's not just Jamel. Okay, great. TJ and so I know I was getting a little scared. Thank you, Sarah, that nobody else wanted a tool that was going to try to help move you forward into these days. Okay, so let us talk about how we can step up and step in and really take care of ourselves on certain days. Thank you, Roberta. And Roberta, did you also have a comment? Or are you just making sure that you're telling us that you're in? You want a tool? She's still muted, so I'm assuming she just raising her hand to tell us that she wants a tool. If anybody does have a comment, please do feel free to unmute. We do want it to be totally interactive, not just raise your hand interactive.
Yes. And we're doing a really good job of I'm not gonna do that. Accountability equals love. I remember the first time I saw this, and it did not have a pretty little heart around it. We were at coach training infinity ago. I think it was Apple phone 12 or something like that, or 6. I have no idea. I don't remember, but accountability equals love. And Christi, when you think of accountability, is accountability something you choose or does it happen to you?
Accountability for me is something that I choose. Ooh. And I think that other times when we say accountability is something that happens to you, that takes us back to that previous slide. And to me, that's more of I'm letting it happen. It's a victim mentality. And when I want somebody to say, okay, did you work out this morning? Like I ask them to ask me that to make sure that I did. Because if I have to answer that question, guess what? I'm going to get my butt out of bed in the rain, go do all the things so that I can say, yes, Joe, I did what I said I was going to do.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is accountability has another word. It's not there, it's integrity too. And the accountability we're talking about today is not external accountability, but it's internal accountability. It's about that integrity to yourselves. Like, am I living the life that I want? Like I have this thing I've said in some video, like life purpose statements that inspire and empower people to live the lives of your dreams. And accountability and integrity is that tool that you can leverage so that you can have that life of your dreams. Now, I think we can move on to the next slide because I think we could just do this thing of stepping up and start to go through this.
Well, I only want to make one more comment though, Joe, about like, does it happen to us or is it something that we're choosing? And so that's kind of the mindset piece that we all have to take as the market continue to shift. And sometimes I look at the shift markets, the shifting that happens and everybody's like, oh my gosh, it's a surprise. And like I said, when we started, I got in the business when I was 5. I've been doing this for 18 years. And so I've seen plenty of things go up and down in the markets, and it shifts every year, all the time, constantly. So as people just say, oh my gosh, it's a surprise, it's real estate. Every day is a new day. Of course, it's a surprise. We want it to be a surprise and we want it to change because that's what makes it exciting. I get to show up and work with new people every day. So I think it's a matter of really knowing and participating in the market and knowing what's happening, because a shift should never be a surprise. And so if we get into that where it is, then we're really going back into that stinking thinking. And so we have to be accountable for knowing the business and what we're doing each day as well.
There you go. I like it. Let's not lose sight of this other little fact about the market. You have no control over it, so get over it. And I say this thing, I go like, here's what I know about a new year. I still have a mortgage to pay. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to create from what's there. Okay, so I want to ask you to, if you can, if you're not driving, grab a sheet of paper and you're going to answer these questions with us, because there's 3 parts to these questions. This first part is self-validate. beginning with self-validation is this opportunity for you to recognize the progress you've made. When you think about when you came on as a new coaching client, one of the things we cover is that, progress over perfection. People ask, how fast will this go? It'll go as fast as you go. But this is all about taking the time to identify any kind of progress, because that progress is going to give you the momentum for what happens next. So the first question is, what did you do well in the past 24 hours? Take a second and write this down. What did you do well in the past 24 hours? And if you feel comfortable, please share what those ideas are in the chat. But take some time to write this down. What did you do well in the past 24 hours?
And some days this is about our business, and some days this is about us. Okay, Jill, you'd like to share?
So good afternoon to everyone in my area. I'm Jill. I want to let you know that in the last 24 hours, actually in the last 3 hours, I was invited to collaborate with top performers in our county from all different brokerages. And I'm very proud of myself because I bit my tongue when I needed to. I smiled when I needed to, and I gave positive reinforcement about how all realtors should be professionals in our industry. And it kind of was taken back by a couple people, and I'm hoping that the light bulb went off. So I feel like I made a very small step in the surrounding area of my brokerage and putting my best foot forward.
That sounds fabulous and a small step, but also sounds like a huge impact.
I'm hoping.
Very nice. Thank you for sharing.
Yep. I got TJ says on here, I made time to have dinner with my wife without my phone.
That's when you bury it in the backyard, TJ. Congratulations.
Yeah, let's share a couple more. And if someone could share something around, like here we have Amy shared, followed up with clients, nurtured SOI. Part of this question is something to ask daily. I think we were 3 or 4 coach training calls today. Paul Sessom asked the coaches, hey, what can we do to help our clients stay present with their business plan? And a bit of it is taking the time to reflect that you've made progress on it. And so if you think about this question, what did I do well in the past 24 hours? Take some time to look back at the tools. Like one of the tools that was attached to this on the front is daily success habits. And I like to coach around what I call the core 4. Like what we do every day is top 50 ABCs, daily success habits, and invite people to do stuff. And if you were going to look at what did you do well in the past 24 hours, there could be some element of the core 4 that you would reflect on and say you made some progress. So who could share something that, okay, here we go. We got, Tucker, I don't know how to say that.
Chastity.
Thank you. Leads, calls, and have pre-approved buyers. Yeah. That's an important thing to monitor, because what we know about lead tracking is that they don't convert at 100%. It's not one call to conversion. It's like popcorn on the oven. You have to keep the heat applied so the kernels will pop. And
what happens to those kernels? They're like the ones that never pop. Why?
Yeah.
But that's a perfect analogy, Joe, because do all the kernels ever pop in that thing? No.
They're pretty good in like the Jiffy bag, though.
So if we treat our lead tracker like the Jiffy bag, then they'll all pop. Is that what you're trying to tell me, Joe?
Well, I think it's called top 50, where the more kernels pop out of top 50 than they do out of some other fund.
Oh, I kind of like that. What do you think about that, Jamel?
Yeah.
You love that? I know. Well, because I kind of like that was the way that you went with that. I have no idea what that is, Joe, and I'm not sure I want to put that down.
Here's a package of Roadhouse Joe coffee. It delivers every time.
Like I said, put that away. Okay, the top is popping. Thanks, Harry. But I think that is a great analogy when you really think about the Jiffy Pop and some of those types of things. And so I want to go back to even the mention of the daily success habits and tracking those things, because every lead is not converted, right? I mean, although let me ask, how many people have 100% of your leads converted? Because I do want to ask that question. Jamel is like leaning in to see if anybody raises their hand. Like she's super excited to see if anyone does. No, okay. I mean, if you did, I was going to like totally celebrate you because that is amazing. So, but I think that the Jiffy thing and the popcorn thing is a truly great analogy. But what we tend to do with the Jiffy Pop, in my experience, is we pop them and we eat the ones that pop and then we throw the others away. How many treat their leads like that and we just throw those kernels away? Yeah, so some of us really do that, right? Okay, so if we continue to treat them more like an incubating system from time to time, do some of those kernels actually pop 1 or 2 or 3 years later if we continue to keep in touch and follow up with them? So I kind of like the popcorn thing was not part of what our discussion was today, just so you guys know, but I really like the analogy. And so since we're talking about the success habits, the conversion of that with the follow-up is something that if we're actually tracking our daily success habits and doing those, we could actually see those kernels pop down the road, could we not?
Mhm.
Who's in for that kind of a challenge? Like I really kind of like this popcorn thing. Don't show the coffee again. We're not talking coffee, just popcorn. Okay. All right. So let's keep, so a Facebook lead I was following up on told me via text to take a hike. Ooh, only much worse.
They tell you
And
to go hike though, because if that would have been helpful, they would have added value to that. Sorry.
well, but let's talk about what that really looks like, because this is where we kind of get into that victim mentality and that stinking thinking, right? But so do we drop them or do we not? Do we kind of incubate them and see what that looks like for a really long time? Because those are things that happen to all of us. I mean, it's kind of and I can't remember who I was talking to in the last week, but they were like, and it was a group text of some agents in my office. And she was like, yeah, I got this great text from a friend that said, oh, we're closing on a house next week. And I just wanted to let you know. And oh, by the way, sorry, I didn't use you. And so that's a thing that does happen in our business. And it is one of those things. And she wanted to respond with, oh, great, you should go buy furniture now.
Mhm.
She said, but I didn't do that because that's not the right thing to do. And that's not how that we should go about that. And so that's part of that. What did I do well? I mean, the thing you might have done well in the last 24 hours was not tell that person to go buy a whole house full of furniture, right? That could be your win when we get in that stinking thinking mode, right?
And part of this, the exercise of asking this question is to create momentum for yourself. So we're having fun talking about daily success habits, but there could be other areas that you are focusing on in your business, because we have activities where you may be focused. You can have an intention around leveraging your business and a system around hiring and follow through. Like what you can identify is limited by your imagination. But what's important is taking the time daily to just do an inventory, to reflect on your wins and things that happen to move you forward. I mean, that's what's really important with this process. Reflection on the things you've done to move forward. Because when we move on to the next question, how about we go on to the next slide?
I want to stop real quick just for Julie's comment, Joe. And she said that she didn't let it bring her down. That was the part that was important, that she did well and better than she would have responded in the past. And so I think that is huge to recognize, because that is a self thing that we do all have to work through when we have those days of the stinking thinking and you got to be kidding me kind of a thing in this business. So thank you for sharing that, Julie.
So, part of the reflection is when you think about the goals you set for the new year, the goals you've had for a day, you know what your agenda is. Like if we'll just use daily success habits as a metaphor or an example. If your goal is to schedule one listing appointment, get one buyer's appointment, that was your intention for the day. The next question you could be asking yourself is, what is one thing I want to improve on in the next 24 hours? Because tomorrow's a new day and there's a chance for you to do something differently. And so let's take just a minute to write down and share in a chat if you could pick one thing that you'd like to improve on in the next 24 hours, and that'll be from the time this call ends forward. Let's get real present with it. One thing you like to improve on in the next 24 hours. And setting boundaries with my clients. So I'm going to ask this one other thing. No, I'm going to leave it like that. Let's just put it in there. Let's just go what we got. Make more calls, calling expireds, setting boundaries, respecting my time and blocking time, writing everything I do, calling expireds, praise team members.
Prospecting more, encouraging team members.
Okay, and so I'm going to throw out an additional challenge. Let's get real focused, just how Christi has helped me often. Let's get really focused and think of a single task, a single activity, something more specific that we want to do better. So when I think of my CrossFit workout, the area that I'm not as strong in is the strict shoulder press. I'm just not strong there. And so to improve on that, my intention when I saw this workout coming out was paying attention to my body posture through the workout with just intention. And so if you take prospecting more as an idea, what's the one thing you want to improve on in prospecting more? Let's just break it down into a specific thing or a specific part of prospecting. Is it prospecting more with my top 50? Is it prospecting more with the people in my ABC follow-up? Where is a specific spot that we're going to apply time and energy and a tool towards that we'd like to improve in the next 24 hours?
And each day when you're doing this and figuring out what it is you do want to improve on in the next 24 hours, for me, just kind of talking through this week, Joe, the thing that I want to improve on for me in the next 24 hours is a little more general than what you're getting to specific, and yet it's specific for me.
Yes.
Is I want to get back to being more present in everything that I am doing, because I have been in a mode so far this year where I'm actually doing some really great things. My strategic plan is set. I've got some great things set in my CRM. I'm doing a lot of things very well at a much higher level than I was even ending last year. And yet what I have found is I'm kind of so focused in some of those things with my head down in the tasks that I'm not being as present as I would like to be in all the places that I am.
Oh, I love it. I love it. What I hear you talking about is channel capacity. And one of the examples I have with a client is like, remember when we were kids and you see the spinning plates and you had the person running around trying to spin the plates, and you get to a point where you can only spin so many plates. And so I really appreciate exactly what you're saying, that, you can get stuck paying attention to one plate and the others fall apart. And it's so true. And at the same time, when we want to make a difference, we have to be aware that we're going to keep our plate spinning, but I'm going to have a special focus on this plate because we don't have the opportunity to just focus on one thing, a single variable. When you look at a strategic plan is about your activity. A strategic plan is how you work with leverage. A strategic plan is the sources you work with. A strategic plan is about profitability. We have to have all of these things present. And at the same time, we need to pick a spot where we're going to have our attention. And so when you stop to think, what can I do, improve on in the next 24 hours? It may only take 5 minutes. It may be a very simple thing, So Christi, if you were going to say, what's the one thing I could do that I can improve on to help with my presence? That's when we would go to this next question, because the next question takes us to that spot, because we know we want to be more present. And so now this is the part where we'll go, we get a chance to do my favorite thing in the world, self-determination. What's the one thing that we can do differently that will make an improvement happen? Verl has said this to me often, Joe, it's a great idea. How do you do it? And so that's what this question is about. So if think of what you've written down And now type in there, what's the one thing that you can do differently to make that improvement happen?
I love that, Amy. Learn to say no. Because guess what? No is a complete sentence.
Mhm. Start my day sooner.
I like that. Follow through. Follow through and follow up is one of those things that sometimes falls through the cracks in our business, or as Burl would say, where we drop the ball.
Mhm. Set timers on the phone, reminders. Yeah.
Ooh, follow through with my schedule. You mean like in my perfect week?
Mhm.
Say yes to something and then ask yourself what you're saying no to. I love that, Julie, because
is-
you're absolutely right. When we say yes to one thing, we are saying no to something else.
And you know what, I'd like to chime in here. Part of the reason we start with successes is because you have to have an idea of what's working for you. You have to know where to go to say, you know, if my back's against the wall, I know what I've done well. And the more you practice identifying your done wells, the things that have allowed you to move forward, when you ask that second question, what will I do differently? You have preset your mind thinking solution focused. And then once we get to this third question, what's the one thing that can do differently to make an improvement? You have just primed yourself for forwarding the action, because that's what we do. I remember one of our other coaches, Melissa Haley, she's a coaching client of mine. She's a coach. And she says, you know, Joe, what realtor means? And I was like, no, what? She says, we get shit done. You know, and so what's expected of us as service providers for our clients is getting things done. And using a tool like this success log is a thing that you can do to show self-validation, self-awareness, and self-determination, so that you can continue to move forward with your business and have this sense of progress. And that progress, it may look as simple as, like we talk about being on schedule, at least try to start, you know, like finding that micro movement that moves you toward the thing that you aspire toward.
TJ, I love your comment about changing your voicemail greeting. And to share a little bit about that, it's about setting expectations to some degree. Kind of going back to that, you're not available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And because we know that, not that I'm really talking out of school here, but everybody takes their phone with them everywhere, including the bathroom, right? And that used to be like the one place you could get away and kind of sort of have some private time. And yet your client still kind of expects you to answer the phone, even if you're in the bathroom, like they really kind of do. And so I think that is a great idea. I did that years ago. And my voicemail literally tells people that I return calls between 11 and 12 a.m. and between 4 and 5 p.m. And so they know, and they now have the expectation that that is when they will get a return call. Now, if they get a call back between those time frames, well, that's just like bonus time. And they kind of know that. So go and be very specific, because that is one of those places where you literally can get some time back that you get to control. So are you committing that you're going to go change your voicemail today, TJ? Okay, good. So I'm going to look your number up and I'm going to give you a call later and I'm going to see if you've changed your voicemail.
We'll all call him.
I know Jamel said a couple of things about having a fitness coach and doing some things. So Jamel, if you don't mind coming off of mute, tell me what's different about having a fitness coach than any other kind of coach. What does that do for you?
Besides make me cry? No, just kidding. I had to go in with your humor. No, it's just, it's about an awareness, right? And so I've been working out with my fitness, my personal trainer for 4 months and seeing some results. And this week we had a check-in. We did something called a body scan. And in that body scan, he's like, look, your results are not what you had hoped they would be. Where's the gap? And so now not only am I tracking food in my fitness pal, I'm sending him my food every single time I eat it. Talk about accountability. So it makes you think twice before you eat anything if you have to send it to your personal trainer coach, let me tell you. So yeah, but it's it's going to get me to my long-term goals. So I'm happy to do it.
Oh, so you're happy to do it.
Yeah. It's a little painful, but I know the bigger why behind it. So I'm happy to do it for sure.
Oh, I didn't know I was going to get all of that story. So thank you for sharing that,
Of
Jamel.
course, my pleasure. I'm happy to be a guinea pig because we all need accountability. Trust me, it doesn't matter what it is.
So there's a couple of people that have put a few other things in here with the, the time management, time blocking, some of those things. So do you want to tell us more about that, Chastity? Is there something that you would really like us to help make sure you follow through there? Or I'll talk to a few other people. I don't know if is it Nara or Nara. I don't know it. I don't know exactly. So I apologize, but it's beautiful, whatever it is. If it's not in your schedule, it doesn't exist. What kind of ball are we going to play here, JC? I mean, I don't know what that is, Jason. What kind of ball are we playing?
Well, you had just made mention using a sports field, in one of your examples, and I saw one of your presentations quite a number of months ago about burning everything down, and I kind of feel like I burnt everything down, but never really got started again. And we've had some changes with our systems at the office and our MLS systems and a whole bunch of stuff that just all kind of happened about the same time of your burn it down presentation. I won the Traeger, thank you. And but anyway, yeah, so it's just getting started again and
Okay,
getting
so
back on the field.
this is your commitment to put me in, coach, and we're going to really get back in the game.
Right. Mhm.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I love that. Thank you for sharing.
Yes, you're welcome.
I like that very much. Thank you. Okay, so Julie, I need to ask myself, number one, when I'm feeling overwhelmed so I can enjoy the warm fuzzies of success and progress. So are there specific things you want to kind of talk through with that we could help you with there? Or is that just something that you've put out there and that's a commitment you're making to yourself? And I'm fine with either one.
I would just say thank you for, digging deeper on that one, Christy. Number two for me was, what's one thing I'd like to improve upon in the next 24 hours I get caught up in the overwhelm. I just keep going. And number one, taking that moment to pause and ask yourself what you did well in the last 24 hours. I like that increment rather than waiting for, okay, I've got to get my tracker done for my coach. Oh, wow, look at this. We actually did some I know, like logically, I know we did some business in the last 2 weeks, but I don't know. I don't feel it. I don't take time to celebrate it or enjoy it, when you're in the trenches, when you get really caught up in that, the moment, so to speak. So for me, I guess that number one question literally is the number one thing, right? Is just taking that pause. To your point about being present in the moment. Again, I think that, we'd all do well with that number one question for probably just about any of this. It's just breaking it down into baby steps, manageable steps, right?
Yes. Oh, good. I love that. Thank you for sharing that because I wasn't exactly sure where you were going to go with that. But I love that that's really making you stop and pause and think. It's kind of one of those things when you were saying that, I was like, oh, it's to me a little bit like I don't eat a whole lot of sweets or candy. And so when I do and you bite into it, like for people who eat a whole bunch of sweets or candy or cake or whatever, I mean, to me, they probably shovel in and move on and they don't even think about it. But for me, when I take a bite of chocolate, like I stop and I'm like, okay. And so that's kind of what you're describing about that, Julie, is that number one question is having you really stop and pause and think about it and savor it.
Yes,
And
exactly. Savoring it. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. So this is kind of a really good self-reflection piece for this. Anybody else feel that way as we're going through this exercise with these steps? Did that make you think like that, like Julie did? Because I thank you for sharing that, Julie, because I think that that is huge, because we don't all stop and smell the roses very often.
There is a YouTube video I did not watch, but the screen said, "Work the accepted addiction." And there's nothing wrong with validating yourself. There's a habit. There's a guy named DJ Fogg. He wrote a book called Tiny Habits. And one of the phrases in there is that people change best by feeling good. People change best by feeling good. And this whole structure is about leading with that emotion. Stinking thinking, we started that on the front end, that will set your emotion. And one thing that emotions do for us is they give us a signal for action. And so if the stinking thinking is present, it's going to give you one signal for action. But if you change the thinking, if you actually have a different conversation with yourself, there's a chance you can have motivation for something different to move forward with your life. Sarah had shared something with me once before. Sarah is like amazing with NLP. Whenever we meet, somehow I end up coaching myself. She's silent and stares at me, and I have the answer when I'm done. But anyway, one of the things Sarah shared with me is that limiting beliefs are something you hold inside. Limiting beliefs are the thing you hold inside. And so by practicing this, you get a chance to defeat that limiting belief you might have by taking the time to acknowledge. And Julie, like you said, smell the roses. You sound like, to me, an amazing, productive person. You're going to take care of things and be moving things forward. And now you recognize the value of stopping and validating yourself about what you've done. And that will probably give you even more energy to go, okay, what would I like to do differently next? And what specific action will I take to do it? And so that's the reason, we're bringing this tool to you. There's one other thing I want to add, that as we move to celebrating success, is that you all volunteered to become a part of the coaching environment at Workman. You all volunteered. And so accountability, you've come to us and said, we have seen the systems and the tools that are here at Workman, and I want to integrate those in our lives. And I am going to include my coach as part of an accountability group for that integration to happen. And that's what really makes this whole process special. Accountability does equal love. Accountability is internal. And, we're people and we need each other. And so on some level, as coaches, as a master coach, I'm so thankful that you guys have chosen to choose us to be a part of that transformation for you, so that we can be in that accountability cycle. So this is a question, celebrating success. How will you use these 3 questions for yourself going forward?
And what I hope part of the answer is that you will use these 3 questions daily, because Julie, kind of what you shared with us as an aha for you is that you weren't taking the time to do number 1 very often, if at all. And so if you journal, use these as part of your journaling. If you don't, use this particular tool, and there will be the downloads at the end to start your journal. And this can just be how you use that and do that, because this gives you that process to stop each day and kind of look back and go, oh, what was really great about today? What was good today? What did I do well today? What can I celebrate for today? As some of you have shared, you kind of get to your coach and you're like, oh yeah, I think I did some business in the last couple of weeks. Let me kind of look at that and think about what that really is. And yet if we just really stop and celebrate what we do well every day, and some of it is going to be business and some of it is going to be personal, and we have to take ourselves to that personal piece, because if we're not taking care of me, myself, and I, and you should see that conversation in the mirror sometimes, it's a lot. then I can't take really good care of my clients or my family or anybody else. So how are we going to celebrate these successes? Let's go with Joe's next question on celebrating some of those successes. How are we going to make sure that we keep doing that? Because everybody's really formulating their opinions. I'll just read what Sarah put in the chat because it's exactly where we need to go with that. And Jim says this all the time, just 1% better each day is what we're really looking for. So if you just get 1% better each day, it creates that perspective for the hard things. And I have my other note up here right on my desk because Sarah told me a long time ago, you get to choose your hard. Sometimes I don't choose the right hard, but you get to choose your hard. So which hard are you choosing? And so if you don't like the one you choose, throw it out, bury it in the backyard with your phone and go pick a new hard. And find what it is that you can celebrate. Oh, Amy, I love that. Make it a topic in your daily huddles. That's great. So tell us how you would present that in your daily huddle, Amy. What are you thinking there?
Amy, you should come off mute and share that with us.
Maybe she's the one playing golf. I don't know.
I'm not playing golf. I'm in Wisconsin. There's snow on the ground. I think, in my opinion, real estate is a roller coaster, and all it takes is one upset client or one funky home inspection to sink your entire day and make you forget about all of the wins. Our market is still very busy, and I think it's super important in our daily huddle. We take 15 minutes at 9:30 every morning and go over what we are doing within our team. And starting it with what's a celebration or what's a positive is a good way to just kind of keep yourself on track and not fall into the rabbit hole of, oh my God, the world's terrible and I suck as a realtor. Because you don't.
Right. You just had that moment that sucked.
Yeah, just one. And 9 times out of 10, we work through it.
Mm-hmm. And it's that hard phone call that we don't think we really want to make, and it wasn't quite as bad as we thought.
Correct.
Thank you for sharing that. And I love that you kind of are seeing that this is a great piece to take to your daily huddle. So that's great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Other thoughts that people have of how they want to implement this or use this or celebrate the wins. Thank you for sharing that, Lauren, highs and lows, because that is definitely, it's kind of the roller coaster that Amy described. And I think that's a perfect way to describe the business. It's highs and lows every day. It doesn't matter what the market trends are, because that's what we tend to really use that piece as, but it's a highs and lows every day. Any other thoughts that people have about how they want to take this tool and implement it or use it with their business or their team? Are we going to use it?
Oh, this is the best one. Hopefully it will help me not beating myself up so much. You know what? No one else has to share anything else because that is a victory. Yes. We can't beat ourselves up. And there's 2 things I've learned in this business that we have to do. 2 things. I didn't invent it, but the idea. We have to persist and resist. We have to stay in the business and resist the things that distract us from doing it. Each one of you are amazing at the work you do in real estate. And if you can use this tool to support you in persisting and resisting, use it. I've brought this as a discussion point because what I've found using this dialogue track with my coaching clients, the client comes up with really good solutions for things they want to do that they own, that comes from inside them. And then what we do is we spend our time working on the best way to make that next little incremental improvement by leveraging the tools, the resources in our libraries so that that process is just a little easier. I want to thank Christi for helping us curate this conversation today because without her supporting and creating the focus, we wouldn't have been able to bring the success log to you guys today. So thank you so much, Christi. And Megan and who else is there? Megan, you guys did a great job corralling us and helping us collect the ideas. I have 2 jobs, and without the help of the staff, we can't show up and be present with you like this. And just thank you all for the support and the participation in our system. Here at Workman, we are really committed to helping you all transform your life and business the way you envision. So thank you all for being here.
Yes, and thank you for being present and participating today. This was great. I hope you guys got something out of it. I know that Joe and I did, so we always enjoy doing this. So go and be present, be successful, and improve at least 1% every day.
Thank you.